Hello, I'm Keener Fry, Executive Director of the University of Wyoming Alumni Association. I am happy to be joined today by Ahmed Balogun, data scientist with UL LLC in Laramie, Wyoming. Ahmed has a BS in mechanical engineering from the University of Wyoming. He earned that in 2015, and he also earned an MS in mechanical engineering in 2017. We are proud of his service to the Alumni Association, as he is a University of Wyoming Alumni Association board member as well. Ahmed's session today continues a series of many recorded interviews that we will be producing with our alumni in a variety of fields. We hope our students and alumni are able to use these informational interview videos as a learning tool when deciding on the desired path or when learning about a new industry. Ahmed, we're glad you're here today, and I want you to start, if you would, maybe your pathway to the University of Wyoming, share some UW experiences that were meaningful to you, and then how you wound up and found the career that you are currently pursuing with UL. We're glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Keener. I came to UW, or Laramie, in the United States in general, in 2011. I came and I started studying mechanical engineering. I sort of chose mechanical engineering because it was broad. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. And I figured I definitely knew it was some form of engineering because I love math and physics and problem solving. So I sort of assumed that mechanical engineering would be wide enough that if I find something down the line, I can hopefully specialize more or just, kind of see how it goes. So through college, I sort of came across a unique group of friends and we started this startup. When we did that startup, it was a failed startup, by the way, as most startups do, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of self-discovery. And I think really that would be one of my first advice out there is to kind of make sure you try to explore a lot while you're in college, because it's sort of a safe space to try new things. And if you fail, it's kind of okay. And there's not a lot of responsibilities at that point. So during the process of this startup, it was a technological company. That was when I realized, I really do enjoy software programming. I do enjoy software development. And that sort of software engineering software development wasn't something I was used to because growing up, I didn't really do a lot of programming. I was exposed to computers and, I did basic things, but not necessarily the programming aspect of it, more of the hardware piece of it. And I realized that why I liked software development was that there was a shorter time to market, in quotes. If you can imagine that a software that you write, it may take you a week or so to develop, say, a web page or something, or an application that does something on the iOS or the Android store. You can release that in like a week or 2 weeks, depending on the functionality, right? Contrast that with engineering. If you're mechanical engineering and you design a gizmo that does something, right? You have to get through the designs. Well, first of all, you can't do public things without being a PE, a professional engineer. It also takes time to get things in the shop, to build it out, to test it. There's just a lot more rigorousness, which is a good thing, right? Because a lot of people's life depend on those things in building them compared to software development, where you can sort of prototype really quickly and have a product on the market a lot sooner than you would a traditional engineering product. So that's kind of what drew me to it. I also, along the way, sort of was nervous because I know computer science or programming is sort of different from mechanical engineering. I hadn't taken a lot of programming courses at that point. But as soon as I realized that, I sort of made an intentional decision to kind of gear my electives towards computer science courses. So I took kind of a few courses as much as I could to sort of just bolster my understanding of the field. And upon graduation too, it was sort of I would say a scary thing for me in some ways. It's I could potentially double down on this field, on the mechanical engineering field that I've known, and I've had a couple of internships in. So there's kind of that comfortability with it of I can do this thing I'm good at, and I have some network in there. Or I could go out and do something entirely different, a field I don't know a lot about. And I sort of made the decision that ultimately I would be happier doing what I enjoy doing most. And I decided to rely heavily on my network. So I think I reached out to every friend I knew who were in the computer science field and who were working there. I kind of looked at their company, looked at what they did, try to reflect on past conversation I've had with them of, kind of if they like the job they do and, the company they're with, and sort of reach out to them like, hey, this is something I'm trying to transition to. You have a company, is there a way, is there the roles that you are hiring for? Is there advices you have for me, things like that. And that was really how I landed my first role. I reached out to Ariel. Ariel was with UL, and he got my resume in front of the hiring manager, and that's what got me the interview. And as soon as I got that interview, I knew, okay, this is my shot. I need to knock it out of the park, and I prepared. Did a lot of preparation, and thank God everything worked out well. And 3 years later, here I am.
I want to step back a minute. In your college experience now, you were ASUW president. Share a little bit about that leadership experience and maybe extrapolate that to others that may be watching this right now, the importance during their college career to identifying. Not everyone has to be the ASUW president or vice president, but there's lots of leadership opportunities on our campus. Share a little bit about your experience and how valuable that was and how meaningful that could be for others that follow behind you.
Definitely. Getting involved and being active on campus is instrumental. It's huge. I remember my freshman year, I was into doing everything that I possibly could. I remember I was part of the UMC, the United Multicultural Council, and public speaking terrified me then, right? I was terrified of public speaking. I still have somewhat of an accent. There's this subconsciousness of coming to a foreign country, all these factors, right? And I remember, I was part of UMC and doing the diversity ball. It was like an audience of 300 people. And they sort of asked me to do the last thank yous. And I knew, right? I knew I knew that I was going to go on stage and fumble. I just knew that as a fact. But I took it as a learning experience and was like, okay, if I fumble now, it will be painful, but I would never fumble again because
that's right.
Out of my system. So, lo and behold, I go up on stage and I just blank out, right? There's the lights and everything. I go on the podium and I just forget what I'm supposed to say. And I sort of cracked a joke. I'm like, well, this is awkward. And then everybody starts laughing. And then I remember what I'm supposed to say. And, then I carry on. And, but that experience, right, that forming experience of talking to a large crowd was instrumental, because down the road, in terms of my career, how it applies, being able to comfortably relate to people, let's say during my interview, for example, that I had, being able to relate to anybody, to be able to find connections, being able to speak in a confident and comfortable way is a really important skill that I learned from UMC through ASUW, doing MASUW. The really big thing I took from it was sort of relating to people on a personal level. It's one thing to get out there, right? Because we wanted votes, we wanted numbers. So to get out there and find somebody who may or may not care about ASUW and try to convince them, hey, this is important, this is why you should vote, and sort of get them on your side. Being able to do that to thousands of people was really a good experience of kind of finding connections between people and leveraging that. So it's definitely very important to be involved on campus, as you just don't know where it leads, right? So it also turns out that my boss, who I interviewed with here in UL, he knew of me because I was student body president, right? So that was also a good thing, right? It's a kind of a good thing that he knew me, even though I didn't know him.
Right.
A good thing that he I had a good reputation in some ways that so all of that is just keep trying to do good and, see where it leads you.
Now, how did you make the decision, Ahmed, after you got your bachelor's, you just continued on with your master's, really, didn't you? But in the same time of doing your studies, you kind of were still involved in programming and those kinds of things, and knowing that really was where you wanted to go. But the master's, what did that contribute, that extra 2 years in your career?
That's a really good question. So I think I knew I wanted to do programming in my junior year. And that was when I sort of came to that realization. But I also wasn't 100% convinced, right? I wasn't super sold. But at the same time, I was doing undergraduate research with the Department of Mechanical Engineering with my advisor, Dr. Belmont. And I really loved the project that we were doing. It was about biomass and renewable energy research that was applicable to Haiti. So it was kind of a very impactful project that I wanted to see towards some completion. So I decided to sort of stay on and kind of wrap that project up and possibly see how things go between, through graduate school, the extra 2 years that I had then. One of the big things I really took from graduate school was that I learned a lot of how to learn, which was very instrumental for me. I feel like throughout my undergraduate program in engineering is hard, and you get bombarded with difficulties, and you sort of gain confidence as you solve more complicated problems and things like that. But with graduate school, it's kind of a little bit of a different ball game in that it's kind of an open field. There's not a lot of direction, so being able to navigate that and, get through resources and get through that sort of, in some ways, solidify my confidence and programming of, okay, I may not be, at that point, be the best programmer in the world or have a ton of experience, but, I've been to graduate school. I would say I was able to conquer that in some way. So it sort of gave me that confidence of being able to know how to research, how to find solutions, how to be in a position where I don't know anything and figure things out and get to a solution was kind of the big takeaway for me.
Oh, that's great. When you were in your classes, a couple of professors maybe that stood out to you that were really instrumental in your growth and development and inspiring you to continue forward and move forward with your goals?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun professors. From my advisor, Dr. Erica Belmont, we had a lot of great experiences, but even with research and outside of research, it was just a very good relationship there. Dr. Dellenbach, I really love Dr. Dellenbach. My undergraduate advisor too, Dr. Kuhn, Jeff Selden from the math department. I really liked his, what course was there? I think I took one course from him, but I really learned a lot about myself and even just through the course. And from the honors program too, the late Duncan Harris, he was who I really had a good relationship with. Trying to think if anybody else. So I really tried to learn a lot from my professors, both in and out of the classroom as the opportunity sort of presented itself. So if it's nuggets about their lives back in grad school, or experiences that they've had, or just trying to draw on ways to be better, and I'm really appreciative of kind of all that they provided me.
Well, Ahmed, you certainly had a rich student environment. Tell us a little bit about what UL does and how your role fits in, maybe from the beginning, but then what opportunities are ahead for you that you maybe with additional experience and leadership and management that you'll get the opportunity to do. But some of our listeners today may not be as familiar with what UL does. And then, so what does a programmer do at UL?
So UL is a company that you either know or you don't know, but once you know, you likely will keep knowing them. Because we do safety testing for a lot of appliances. So if you go behind your power strip, that's just a classic example, right? I'm sure you see a UL mark on it. There's a very good percentage that UL kind of certified that strip. And what the engineers who certified that did was it came up with sort of a rigorous test of, okay, we need to plug this and unplug this. I'm just making this up, I don't know, but to make sure that it's safe and it won't catch fire and it won't burn down your house. So when that product passes that test, we put our mark on it as this is safe, right? So that's what we do. We kind of work towards a safer world. So that's kind of what UL does. So initially for me, I knew I wanted to do programming, but I knew I wanted to do data science, right? But the opportunity I got was with DevOps, which is more of the software engineering / release part of computer science.
Okay.
And I sort of took that, right? It was an in. It wasn't exactly what I felt like I wanted, but it was something that I was also passionate about. And I learned from it. And I sort of had conversation with my manager and with my team to pick out projects that were in line with potentially me transitioning to a data scientist down the road. It took 3 years sort of, right, for it to eventually materialize. So for example, when we're doing software and release engineering, I focus more on the analytics, on the optometrics, kind of ways where I could apply automation and data science to it. I think I did that for the first year, and then it sort of gravitated towards more hands-on approach of creating models, of how we can apply that to the software releases that we're doing, things of that nature. So because I knew that was what I wanted to do, I sort of searched for projects that augmented or could bolster those skills that I would need for my future role and apply that into what I was doing right now, or what I was doing back then.
Absolutely. And so, Ahmed, you chose to stay in Laramie, Wyoming. What has been attractive about staying in Laramie? You're connected to the university and so on and so forth. So what have you found attractive about having the opportunity to stay in Laramie?
I think primarily it's family for me. So my sister just graduated this past semester. So all this while she was still in college here. My little brother is just enrolled too at UW. So I think being able to be close with them and being able to be close with family was kind of the reason I stayed in Laramie and I'm here in Laramie. I also really love kind of the the environment of Laramie, in the sense that there are a lot of unique activities that I really enjoy doing. Like I love the outdoor summer.
Right.
We play a lot of soccer. We play soccer like 3-4 times a day. It's a lot of fun. It's just pickup games. So it's just a bunch of people at different skill levels, and it's just fun, to meet people and kind of like interact in these unique ways. And during the winters, we play indoor soccer. I go to Africa to play racquetball,
Okay.
like badminton. So it's kind of just cool to still be a part of kind of a lively community that Laramie has, and be close to family. So
That's
really
good.
good things for me.
If I'm an engineer and I want to maybe pursue mechanical engineering and maybe could lead into software development, analytics, data analyst, what are a couple of key pieces of advice for a student for them to finish strong and then that job search process, and that are some keys to getting a good job in the field that they have studied?
I would say a couple of things come to mind. One is networking. When I was about graduating, I applied for a lot of jobs, like in the hundreds actually. And some of those were just for formality purposes, just so I can not lose hope, kind of being like, so I set a consistent goal for myself to apply for, say, 3 jobs a day, kind of thing of, okay, so every day I'm just going to hop on the internet, see 3 roles I really like, and apply for it. But the most opportunities that I got called back on for like interviews and phone screens were jobs that I networked with, right? So jobs that I knew somebody in the company that I reached out to, or jobs that I didn't even know like anybody, and I just reached out on LinkedIn and I saw somebody who worked in a similar role or was the hiring manager, and I reached out to them like, hey, this is my background, I'm really excited about this. Those were the type of roles that I got phone interviews and in-person interviews for, more than the random ones that I saw online and I am applied.
Right.
So networking to me is really key, and to set a consistent goal, right? It may not be 3 jobs a day, maybe just 1 job a day, right? If you do that for a month, that's 30 jobs that you've applied to. That's a huge accomplishment, and it's a huge thing to sort of keep going and kind of keep thinking about the next thing. Another piece that another important piece for me is continuing learning. I think that's very important in our day and age, especially in the field of programming. It's important to keep learning about the latest technologies and how you can apply those, how you can apply that to your current team and focus on delivering value, right? So sometimes it's not as important to just learn for learn's sake, right? It is more impactful to learn and see how you can apply that to your current your current team or your current business, because when they deliver value, you become a more valuable member of their team. And also learning from the standpoint of when I graduated, I think after a year, I enrolled in Georgia Tech for their Master's in Computer Science and Machine Learning. And I just did that because it was convenient. It was online. I didn't need to leave my job or leave my role. Georgia Tech is one of the top institutions for machine learning, and it was kind of a good synergy for me in what I wanted to do in the future and kind of still blustering my skills and my capabilities that I was developing right now at my job. And even with that, I applied most of my projects, right, in my classes or my courses. I applied those to my job, right? So if there was a project, an assignment that was somewhat open-ended, I found a way to sort of connect that to my job and sort of deliver value to my employers and be like, hey, well, this is a cool thing that I created, from this program that I'm learning, just to kind of make that connection and interweave it together.
Well, Ahmed, you're one of the hardest working students and alums I have ever seen. Focused, passionate about the University of Wyoming, passionate about your experience that you had. And I know UL is really pleased to have you as one of their employees. You're going to be a leader in this field. And I thank you today for sharing your experience. It's going to be very meaningful for those current students, maybe even some young alums who are looking at career options and the like. And so for you that may be watching today, I will just ask, if you want further information and learn more about this field, learn more about how the University of Wyoming Alumni Association can be of assistance to you in your career search, just check out the following screen, our website, other connection information. So again, Ahmed, thank you for supporting the University of Wyoming Alumni Association by giving your time today, and we wish you the best.
Thank you very much, Kina. It's been a pleasure and an honor to help in this capacity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ahmed.